Dr. Isla Chen was a cardiologist who knew everything about the human heart, except how her own could stop beating from love. When she diagnosed herself with Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, broken heart syndrome, after losing the man she loved, she had 6 months to live. But then he walked back into her life very much alive. This is the story of a woman racing against her own dying heart to understand if love can kill you or save you. This is the science of a broken heart. Can love actually kill? Dr. Isla Chen could tell you the exact mechanism of every type of heart failure. Myocardial infarction, arrhythmia, cardiomyopathy. She'd spent 12 years studying the heart as an organ. For chambers, electrical impulses, predictable rhythms. Emotions were just chemical reactions. Love was dopamine and oxytocin. Heartbreak was a metaphor, not a medical condition. Until it wasn't. Isla had built her career on evidence and data. At 32, she was one of the youngest attending cardiologists at Memorial Hospital, published in major journals, respected by peers twice her age. She trusted science because science didn't lie, didn't leave, didn't break promises. Julian was the exception to every rule she'd created. An architect who designed buildings like poetry, who looked at her like she was more than her accomplishments, who made her believe that maybe the heart was more than just a pump. They met at a hospital fundraiser. He made her laugh. She made him think. They fell in love like falling off a cliff. Terrifying and inevitable. For 2 years, Isla allowed herself to feel, to be vulnerable, to believe that maybe she could have both, her career and this man who saw her as more than Dr. Chen. Julian proposed on a Tuesday, right in her office, surrounded by heart diagrams. "I want to spend my life with you," he said. "However many heartbeats we have left." She said yes. Her heart, the metaphorical one she'd denied existed, soared. The call came on a Friday. Julian's flight to Singapore for a project presentation. Routine. He'd texted her from the gate. "Miss you already. Can't wait to marry you." 3 hours later, Flight 847 disappeared from radar. 6 hours after that, debris confirmed. No survivors. Isla was in surgery when the news broke. She finished the procedure, muscle memory, professionalism, then walked calmly to her office. She sat down at her desk, looked at the engagement ring on her finger, and felt her chest explode. The pain was physical, real, crushing, like her sternum was caving in, like her heart was being squeezed in a vice. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her left arm went numb. Classic MI symptoms, her clinical brain noted even as her emotional brain screamed. She called 911 on herself. In the ER, her own ER, with colleagues who knew her, they ran the tests. ECG showed abnormalities. Troponin levels elevated. Echo revealed the distinctive apical ballooning. Her attending, Dr. Marcus, delivered the diagnosis with careful professional distance. "Isla, you have Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. Stress-induced cardiomyopathy. Broken heart syndrome. That's not..." Isla started, then stopped. Because she knew. She'd published a paper on it 3 years ago. Rare but real. The heart muscle temporarily weakens, usually triggered by extreme emotional stress. The left ventricle changes shape, mimicking a heart attack. Most patients recover, but some don't. "What's my prognosis?" she asked, already knowing. Dr. Marcus hesitated. "With your specific presentation, Isla, you need to avoid any extreme emotional stress. Your heart is fragile. Another shock like this could be fatal." Isla laughed, bitter and broken. Her heart was literally dying from loving Julian. And now she had to avoid feeling anything intense, or it would kill her completely. The science she trusted had finally named what she denied. Love could kill you. Isla became a ghost in her own life. She wore a portable heart monitor constantly, took beta blockers and ACE inhibitors, avoided anything that might spike her heart rate. Exercise, caffeine, conflict, joy, grief, especially grief. She couldn't cry for Julian without risking arrhythmia. Couldn't look at their photos without her chest tightening dangerously. So she packed everything away. His clothes, their plans, the wedding invitations they'd been designing. She turned her grief into data, researching her own condition obsessively. The statistics weren't encouraging. While most Takotsubo patients recovered within weeks, severe cases like hers could lead to heart failure, dangerous arrhythmias, even sudden cardiac death. She had maybe 6 months if she was careful, a year if she was lucky. Her colleagues noticed the change. Dr. Chen, who'd been warm and engaged, became cold and clinical. She threw herself into work, 60, 70-hour weeks. If she was going to die from a broken heart, she'd at least save a few other hearts first. 6 months passed in a blur of surgeries and medication adjustments. Isla's condition stabilized but didn't improve. Her heart function remained at 50%. She was alive but not living, existing in the gray space between heartbreak and heart failure. Her mother begged her to take time off to heal. "You can't keep going like this," she said. "If I stop," Isla replied flatly, "I'll have to feel it, and feeling it will kill me. Literally. So I don't stop." She'd become what she'd always feared, a woman whose heart controlled her life, just not in the way she'd expected. Julian walked into Memorial Hospital on a Tuesday, 6 months and 3 days after his death. Isla saw him from across the corridor. Her heart monitor immediately started beeping warnings. She stood frozen, medical chart slipping from her hands, as Julian, her dead fiancé, approached the nurse's station looking lost and confused. "I need help," he was saying. I can't remember." Isla couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Her vision tunneled. The monitor on her chest screamed alerts. She was having an episode. Her fragile heart couldn't handle this. She was going to die right here, staring at the impossible. Dr. Marcus caught her before she collapsed. "Isla, breathe. Count with me. 4 in, 7 hold, 8 out." "That's him," Isla gasped. "Marcus, that's Julian. He's dead. He's supposed to be dead." "Who's dead?" Marcus followed her gaze. "That's John Doe from the ferry accident 2 weeks ago. Severe amnesia. We've been trying to identify him." Isla's clinical brain fought through the shock. Ferry accident. Amnesia. But the scar on his left eyebrow from a childhood bike crash. The way he tilted his head when confused. The exact shape of his hands. That was Julian. "His name is Julian Cross," Isla said, voice shaking. He was my fiancé. He died in a plane crash 6 months ago." Marcus stared. "That's impossible." "We confirmed the passenger manifest. There were no survivors." "Then how do you explain him?" Isla pointed with a trembling hand. "They ran DNA tests, dental records, fingerprints. Every result confirmed the impossible. The amnesiac patient was Julian Cross, who'd been declared dead 6 months ago. Somehow, he'd survived the crash, been picked up by a fishing boat, lived on a remote island with no memory of who he was, and only recently made his way back to civilization." Isla stood outside his room, heart monitor still beeping irregularly. Julian was alive. Her dead fiancé was alive. And he didn't remember her. Didn't remember them. Didn't remember the love that had literally broken her heart. The cruelest irony. The universe had given him back, but her heart was too damaged to handle it. Against every medical recommendation, Isla agreed to help Julian recover his memories. She showed him photos, told him stories, walked him through their relationship like reading a case study. His amnesia was retrograde. He remembered how to speak, walk, function, but not who he was or who he'd loved. "Tell me about us," he said one evening in her apartment, studying her face like a puzzle he needed to solve. "We met at a fundraiser." Isla began carefully, monitoring her heart rate. "You made me laugh. I didn't laugh much before you. What made you fall in love with me?" Julian asked. Isla's heart rate spiked. The monitor beeped. Julian noticed immediately. "What is that?" She couldn't lie. "It's a heart monitor. I have a condition. Stress-induced cardiomyopathy." "When did it start?" 6 months ago." She met his eyes. "When I thought you died." Understanding dawned slowly. "Your heart broke? Medically?" "Yes," Isla whispered. "Loving you, losing you. It damaged my heart. Literally. And now you're back. But my heart is so fragile that feeling too much could kill me. Even joy, even relief, even this. Julian moved closer, careful, like approaching something precious and breakable. So being with me could kill you? Yes. And not being with me already almost did? Yes. That's the cruelest thing I've ever heard, Julian said, voice breaking. And I can't even remember it. Isla kissed him then, despite the warnings, despite the beeping, despite everything. And Julian kissed her back. Uncertain but sincere, like learning a language he'd once spoken fluently. They made love slowly, carefully, her heart monitor between them like a third presence. Every touch was measured, every emotion monitored. It was terrifying and beautiful and nothing like before. Before, they'd been reckless with their love. Now, love was a calculated risk. Afterward, Julian held her, listening to her heartbeat, both the real one and the electronic one tracking it. I don't remember loving you, he said quietly, but I think I'm falling in love with you now. Is that the same thing? Isla's heart rate steadied. For the first time in 6 months, the monitor was quiet. I don't know, she admitted, but maybe it's better. Maybe this time we get to choose it. Julian's memories came back in fragments. A building he'd designed, his mother's face, the taste of his favorite coffee. But the plane crash remained a black hole. He couldn't remember boarding flight 847, couldn't remember the crash, couldn't remember the 6 months between. Medical scans showed physical trauma to his hippocampus, the memory center. Dr. Marcus explained to them both. Severe retrograde amnesia following traumatic brain injury. Some memories may never return. Others might come back suddenly, triggered by sensory cues. What about emotional memories? Julian asked. Would I remember loving someone? Emotional memories are stored differently, Marcus said carefully, glancing at Isla. They're often the most resilient, but also the most painful to recover. Isla understood the warning. If Julian suddenly remembered everything, the love, the engagement, the crash, the loss, the emotional shock could trigger his own cardiac event. Or worse, trigger hers. They were trapped in a terrible limbo. Julian, falling in love with a woman he'd already loved and forgotten. Isla, loving a man who was both completely familiar and entirely new. Every day was a tightrope walk between helping him remember and protecting both their hearts. Maybe we shouldn't try to force it, Isla suggested one night. Maybe we just start over. Build something new instead of trying to resurrect what was. Can you do that? Julian asked. Forget what we were? No, Isla admitted. But I can try to love who you are now, not who you were then. It was a beautiful lie, because every time she looked at him, she saw the man who'd proposed surrounded by heart diagrams, the man who'd texted her from the gate, the man whose death had literally broken her heart. And she wanted that man back, even if getting him back might kill them both. Isla found the videos by accident. Julian's cloud storage, recovered by the tech team processing his return. Hours of footage, their relationship documented in moments he'd captured secretly. Proposals he'd practiced. Video journals he'd kept. One video, dated the day before the crash, made her hands shake. Isla, if you're watching this, something went wrong. I don't know what, but I made this as insurance. I need you to know. You are the best thing that ever happened to my heart. Not in the poetic sense, in the real biological sense. Before you, I was existing. With you, I was alive. Every heartbeat had purpose. So if I'm gone, please live enough for both of us. Let your heart keep beating, even if mine stops. Especially if mine stops. Isla sat in her apartment, watching Julian talk to her from the past, her heart monitor screaming warnings. He'd known. Somehow, he'd known to leave her this message. And now she held the key to his memories on a USB drive, knowing that showing him could trigger total recall, which could kill her. The emotional intensity of him remembering everything. Their love, the crash, the loss, the return, would be more than her damaged heart could handle. Dr. Marcus had been clear. One more major emotional shock would likely be fatal. But keeping it from him felt like murder too. Letting him rebuild a life without knowing who he really was, who he'd been, what they'd meant to each other. Was that love or selfishness? Julian found her on the hospital rooftop at midnight. "You've been avoiding me," he said. "I've been making a decision," Isla replied, not turning around. "Julian, I found videos. Your memories. All of them. I could give them to you right now, and you'd remember everything. Who you were. Who we were. What we meant to each other. But," he heard the hesitation. "But the emotional shock might trigger a cardiac event. For you. For me. Probably for me." She finally turned to face him. "The truth might literally kill me." Julian stepped closer. "Then don't show me." "But that's not fair to." "Isla," he interrupted. "I don't need memories to know this. I love you. Right now. This version of me. Falling in love with this version of you. Maybe it's the same love I forgot. Maybe it's new. But it's real. And if remembering the past means losing the present, losing you, then I don't want to remember." Isla's heart monitor stabilized. "You'd give up knowing yourself to keep me safe?" "In a heartbeat," Julian said. Literally. It was the wrong answer and the right answer, and Isla loved him desperately for it. The decision was taken out of their hands. Julian was in a car accident. Minor. A fender bender. But when the call came through to Isla at the hospital, Julian Cross, Trauma Bay 2, her world imploded. Not again. Not again. Not again. She ran through the hospital, heart monitor screaming. Reached the trauma bay. Saw Julian sitting up, conscious, arguing with the attending about discharge. Just bruised. Fine. Alive. Relief hit her like a freight train. Her heart stopped. Literally. Complete cardiac arrest. Isla collapsed in the trauma bay doorway, her damaged heart unable to handle the whiplash from terror to relief. The emotional shock was too much. The very thing she'd been avoiding for 6 months happened anyway, triggered not by grief but by joy. Julian watched in horror as doctors, her colleagues, her friends, performed CPR on her. Dr. Marcus led the code. "Come on, Isla. Don't do this. Come back." "What's happening?" Julian demanded, being held back by security. "What's wrong with her?" "Her heart can't handle the stress," Marcus said. "Compression steady. Charging to 200. Clear." Isla's body arced. The monitor stayed flat. Again. 300. Clear. Nothing. Julian broke free, dropped to his knees beside her. "Isla, don't leave me. I just found you. I don't care if I don't remember. I know I can't lose you again. Please, your heart needs to fight. Fight for us." He pressed his hand over her heart, her still, silent heart. And in that moment, something broke open in Julian's mind. Flash. A memory. Isla's laugh. Her office. Proposal. Plane. Fear. Impact. Water. Darkness. Her face. Always her face. Everything came back in a devastating rush. "I remember," he gasped. "Isla, I remember. I love you. I've always loved you. Come back. Please." On the monitor, a blip. Then another. Then a steady rhythm. Dr. Marcus checked the readout, shock evident. "She's back. Her heart's beating. That's impossible." But Julian understood. Sometimes love could break a heart. And sometimes love could restart it. Isla woke to the sound of a heartbeat. Not her monitor. Julian's heart, pressed against her ear as he held her in the hospital bed, breaking about 15 hospital protocols. "You're awake," he whispered, relief flooding his voice. "Thank God. Isla, I remember everything." "I know," Isla said softly. "I could feel it when you came back. Your memories. It was like, I don't know, like our hearts recognized each other." Dr. Marcus entered, reviewing her charts with barely concealed amazement. "Isla, I don't know how to explain this medically. Your heart function has improved dramatically. The echo this morning shows the left ventricle returning to normal shape. Your ejection fraction is up to 65%. You're essentially recovering." "That's impossible," Isla said. But even as she spoke, she knew it wasn't. Takotsubo cardiomyopathy reversal is rare but possible. usually takes months of careful. You reversed it overnight, Marcus interrupted. After a cardiac arrest that should have killed you. Isla, this isn't standard recovery. This is a miracle, Julian finished. Marcus looked between them, professional skepticism warring with what he'd witnessed. I'm a man of science, but I watched him touch you, and your heart started again. I've seen a lot in 30 years of cardiology, but I've never seen that. Over the next week, they ran every test. Isla's heart continued to strengthen. The broken heart syndrome that should have killed her was healing impossibly fast. The medical team had theories: delayed natural recovery, spontaneous remission, statistical anomaly. But Isla knew the truth. Her heart had broken from losing Julian, and it healed from finding him again. The science and the poetry weren't separate. They never had been. You know what the craziest part is? Isla told Julian one evening. I spent my whole career treating the heart as just an organ. Electrical impulses and muscle contractions. But it's more than that. It responds to emotion, to love, to loss. The science proves it: Takotsubo, stress cardiomyopathy, heart rate variability tied to emotional states. The heart and the emotion are connected. So you're saying love did heal your broken heart? Julian asked, smiling. I'm saying love broke it, and love healed it. And both are medically documented facts. 1 year later, Isla stood in Memorial Hospital's healing garden, preparing to marry Julian for the second time. The first proposal had been in her office. This ceremony was surrounded by the doctors and nurses who'd saved her life, witnessed her impossible recovery, and documented what would become a landmark case study. You know, Dr. Marcus said, officiating, I've been a cardiologist for 30 years. I thought I understood the heart. Dr. Chun here taught me I was wrong. The heart isn't just a pump. It's not just muscle and electricity. It's the intersection of biology and emotion, science and poetry. And these two people proved that to all of us. Isla looked at Julian, the man who'd died and come back, who'd forgotten and remembered, who'd literally restarted her heart with his love. He looked back with eyes that held all their history and all their future. They'd both gotten tattoos, small, matching, over their hearts. An anatomical heart with the words Cor Unum in Latin script. One heart. I spent my life trusting only science, Isla said during her vows. I believed love was just chemistry, that heartbreak was metaphor. Then I met you, and my heart broke so completely it nearly killed me. And when you came back, it healed in ways science can't fully explain. You taught me that the heart is both things, science and mystery. And loving you rewrote everything I thought I knew. Julian's turn. I forgot everything. My name. My life. But my heart remembered you before my brain did. When I touched you in that trauma bay, when your heart stopped, something in me knew I couldn't let you go. Love brought me back from the dead. And love brought you back from the edge. If that's not proof that the heart knows more than the mind, I don't know what is. They married surrounded by evidence of impossible love. Isla's published case study sat on a table near the altar, rapid reversal of Takotsubo cardiomyopathy following emotional reunion. A case report. It would be cited in medical journals worldwide, challenging everything cardiologists thought they knew about stress-induced heart failure. At the reception, a cardiology resident asked Isla, "Do you really believe love healed you? Or was it just coincidental timing?" Isla smiled, watching Julian dance with his mother. I think love is the variable we forgot to account for. We measure heart rate, blood pressure, ejection fraction. But we don't measure connection. We don't quantify what happens when two hearts recognize each other. Science and emotion aren't opposites, they're partners. My heart broke from love, healed from love. Both are documentable, measurable facts. That night, in their home, Julian held Isla close and listened to her heartbeat. Strong, steady, whole. Can I ask you something? He said. That USB drive with all our memories. You never showed it to me. I remembered on my own. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had? Every day, Isla admitted. But I made the right choice. You needed to fall in love with me again. Not just remember loving me once. We built something new while honoring what was. That's better than just recovering the past. Do you think broken heart syndrome could come back? Julian asked. Isla pressed her hand over his chest, feeling his heartbeat under her palm. The data says once you've had it, you're at higher risk. But I'm not afraid anymore. Because I know now, my heart is stronger than I thought. Strong enough to break. Strong enough to heal. Strong enough to love you for the rest of my life. However many heartbeats that is. Julian kissed her forehead. Then let's make every heartbeat count. And they did. Isla continued her cardiology practice, but now she talked to patients about emotional health alongside physical treatment. She published papers on the mind-heart connection, championing holistic cardiac care. She became known for treating the whole heart, the organ and the emotion. Years later, teaching medical students, she'd tell them, "The heart is extraordinary. It beats 100,000 times a day without conscious thought. It adapts to stress, heals from damage, responds to emotion. And yes, it can break from grief and heal from love. Don't ever let anyone tell you the heart is just a pump. It's the most complicated, resilient, mysterious organ in the body. Treat it with science, but respect it with wonder." And every night, Isla fell asleep listening to Julian's heartbeat beside hers. Two hearts that had died and been reborn, beating as one. The science of a broken heart? Love could kill you, but it could also save you. And that was the most beautiful paradox of all. If this story touched your heart, literally and figuratively, hit that like button and subscribe to Inchua Love Stories for more emotionally powerful love stories that explore the science and poetry of human connection. Comment below. Did you know broken heart syndrome is real? Have you ever felt heartbreak so deeply it was physical? Let's talk about it. Feel the emotion. Live the story. See you in the next one. Two Hearts Medical Symbol.